Think about the last time you scrolled through your social media feed. In the span of 30 seconds, you probably saw a meme about a pop star's latest relationship, followed immediately by a breakdown of geopolitical tensions in the Taiwan Strait, and then, maybe, an ad for a new productivity app. We live in an era of extreme context collapse, where the trivial and the existential sit side by side. It raises a fascinating question for creators and strategists alike. How do you build a media brand that reflects this chaotic reality without losing its mind or its audience?
It is the ultimate modern dilemma. Historically, media advice has always been to niche down. If you talk about everything, you talk to no one. But there is a counter-argument emerging. What if the niche is not a topic, but a mindset? What if the audience is tired of being siloed into either brainless entertainment or dry academic policy papers? That is where a concept like a hybrid media platform comes in. Something that bridges the gap between pop culture and global security. To understand if this can actually work, we have to look at it through the lens of structured intelligence frameworks. If we treat a media launch like a military deployment or a corporate merger, the dynamics get very interesting.
Let's start with the macro environment. If we run a pestle analysis on this hybrid media landscape, the external forces shaping it are massive. Politically and socially, we are seeing unprecedented polarization, but also a hyper-connected public that wants to understand the machinery behind world events. Economically, the attention economy is fiercer than ever. Ad revenues are shifting, and subscription models are the new battleground.
And technologically, the barrier to entry has collapsed. Anyone with a decent microphone can broadcast to the world. But that brings us to the environmental and legal aspects of Pestle. How do you navigate intellectual property, copyright, and platform algorithms that favor outrage over nuance? More importantly, when you look at the social pillar, there is a growing fatigue with superficial content. People want depth, but they do not want to feel like they are sitting in a university lecture. They want the analysis to feel urgent, relevant, and, frankly, entertaining.
That transition from pestle to a spear analysis is where the security and political dimensions really sharpen. For those unfamiliar, spear looks at security, political, economic, academic, and resource factors. In a security and political sense, discussing military operations or global defense on the same platform where you analyze celebrity culture is a high-wire act. You run the risk of trivializing serious human conflict, or conversely, bringing down the mood of someone who just wanted to hear about the latest box office hits.
That is the core risk. From an academic and resource perspective, the challenge is credibility. To talk authoritatively about military logistics, you need rigorous research and expert insights. But to keep the pop culture crowd engaged, you need speed and cultural relevance. If you lean too far into the academic, you lose the mass market. If you lean too far into the entertainment resource pool, you lose the defense analysts. It is about balancing the portfolio.
Which leads us directly to the SWOT analysis. The strengths are obvious. You create a unique value proposition. No one else is connecting these dots. You capture a diverse demographic people who are intellectually curious, but also culturally active. The weakness, of course, is brand dilution. If a listener tunes in for a deep dive into naval strategy and gets a 20-minute breakdown of Fashion Week, they might unsubscribe.
But the opportunities are where it gets exciting. By cross-pollinating these audiences, you actually expand the market. You introduce the defense community to cultural trends that shape public perception, and you introduce the pop culture audience to the structural realities of the world they live in. The threats, however, are platform volatility and audience retention. If the algorithm does not know how to categorize you, it might not recommend you to anyone.
So how do you align all of this? You use the MOST framework: mission, objectives, strategy, and tactics. If the mission is to democratize complex global analysis while elevating cultural commentary, then your objectives must be highly quantifiable. You cannot just say you want to be popular. You need specific metrics for engagement across different demographics.
Exactly. The strategy then becomes one of curated contrast. You do not blend the topics into a grey mush. You highlight their differences. You show how the soft power of pop culture is actually a tool of geopolitical influence, or how military technological developments eventually trickle down into consumer entertainment. The tactics are the execution: high-quality audio, engaging storytelling, expert guests who can bridge the gap, and structured segments that allow listeners to navigate the content easily.
This is where we can apply game theory to explain the competitive landscape. If we look at this as a game of audience acquisition, we have two main players, the hybrid creator and the niche creator. In a traditional zero-sum game, if the hybrid creator tries to compete directly with a dedicated military history channel, they lose. The niche channel has higher specificity and trust in that domain.
But game theory shows us that if the hybrid creator changes the rules of the game, they can find a Nash equilibrium where they coexist or even dominate. Instead of competing on depth of a single topic, they compete on the intersectionality of topics. The payoff matrix changes. The hybrid creator offers a unique payoff: cognitive variety. For the listener, the utility of getting both entertainment and serious analysis in one place outweighs the cost of switching between two different niche shows. It reduces transaction costs for the consumer's attention.
It is a non-zero-sum approach. By expanding the definition of what a podcast can be, you are not just stealing market share from existing shows. You are creating new demand. You are capturing the person who felt that defense podcasts were too dry and pop culture podcasts were too shallow.
And that brings us to the actual execution of this strategy. How do you market a concept like this? You need a message that clearly communicates this duality, something that feels premium yet accessible. Think of it as a commercial for the concept itself. Imagine a pitch that sounds like this. The new Sentinel is a podcast dedicated to providing in-depth discussions and deep dives into a wide array of topics. From the glitz and glamour of pop culture to the strategic intricacies of military operations, we cover it all. Each episode is thoughtfully crafted to offer listeners a comprehensive understanding of the subject matter, featuring expert interviews, detailed analysis, and engaging storytelling. Whether you are a pop culture enthusiast or someone with a keen interest in global security, the new Sentinel has something for everyone. Tune in, view, subscribe, comment, and post an inquiry to stay informed and entertained.
That pitch works because it directly addresses the hybrid nature of the value proposition. It does not hide the contrast. It champions it. It tells the listener exactly what to expect: depth, narrative drive, and a refusal to be put in a box.
It also understands the calls to action. In the modern media landscape, subscription is just the first step. You need community engagement. You need people commenting, sharing, and posing inquiries. That interaction is what feeds the algorithm and builds the brand equity.
When you step back and look at the whole picture, this approach is a reflection of how our minds actually work. We do not compartmentalize our lives into neat little folders. We watch a movie, we read the news, we worry about the future, and we laugh at a meme, all in the same afternoon. A media product that mirrors this cognitive reality feels more authentic than one that pretends we only care about one thing.
It is a philosophical shift. We are moving away from the era of hyperspecialization back toward a modern form of polymathy. The challenge is execution. It requires intellectual humility to realize that you need experts to guide you through these diverse fields, and it requires creative courage to present them side by side.
As we look to the future, the media landscape will only become more fragmented. The brands that survive will be those that can build strong, intellectual communities around shared values rather than just shared topics. The question we leave you with is this: in a world that constantly demands you pick a side, How can you integrate the different parts of your own curiosity to see the bigger picture?